Morning everyone and welcome to the Yes You Can podcast. My name's Claire, I'm your podcast host and we're going to try something a little bit different today. I've decided that just to sit and watch me talk to a camera is, to be fair, pretty shit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix things up and I'm going to take you on a walk with me. And you're going to learn the thought processes of Claire when she's out in nature getting those steps in. So no time like the present, let's go. So we're not going to do anything fancy today. It is a beautiful day for a walk though. Basically I'm going the long way around on a little Sainsbury's shop, get some beef in for some nice Sunday dinner and just basically chat with you lot as we're going along. Who knows what'll happen, eh? Who knows what'll happen. The new format of these podcasts are going to be about half an hour long, I think, which again, I say that now though, considerably shorter than what I normally do, but we all know that once I get talking, anything comes out. But yeah, I say that me sitting talking to a TV, tied to a camera was shit, but I think this way I'm more likely to get completely off track like I'm doing already. But I just kind of wanted to take you on the things that make me feel good, what helps with my mental health, and ultimately this is a podcast about reality. A disclaimer about this as well. So I'm currently obviously recording this on my phone. I've got no fancy equipment and I'm absolutely abysmal. Well, I haven't actually tried yet to do any video editing. So at the minute, these videos are literally going to be raw, uncut, and probably the most random thing you've ever seen. If you are listening to this on Spotify though, obviously I'm fully aware that you can't see the video, but hopefully the dulcet tones, my northeast twang, will still get the message across, even if you're not getting to enjoy this lovely scenery of a main road. So, I don't know where to begin really. The podcast, obviously last time we did Adapt Don't Quit, that was the first podcast of 2025, and I was originally going to do a vision board podcast, but in complete honesty I haven't even started to look at my vision board yet. January 2025 pretty much became a massive shit show, and towards the end of it, I'm not even going to lie, my mental health was completely in the pan. I wasn't suicidal or anything, but I was certainly having thoughts of I just can't keep doing this anymore. But it was just a lot. I do know it was a lot of circumstance based, a lot of things happening, things at work, things in family, and I understood where it was coming from, but that doesn't mean that it was any easier, to be completely honest. I've said this before in blogs and other stuff I've done, that depression, I know my depression, he's an absolute twat, but I know how he operates, I know how I feel, I know what works, I just know. It's kind of a weird, I've described it as a comfort blanket before, and I suppose in a sense I mean that in the way that I completely understand me and my depression. Anxiety though, wow, if I said the CUNT word, it would be used to describe anxiety. Even though I know that I've got it, its impact on me still pretty much takes my breath away. Over the last 2 weeks, and on at least one occasion, I genuinely thought I was having a heart attack, which is quite ironic considering what's been going on. But I honestly thought that my time was up basically. The chest pains were absolutely unbelievable. The not being able to sleep, not being able to eat, feeling like I'm constantly on edge, feeling like I've got the constant shakes, headaches. It's just been absolutely vile. But I've kept on keeping on, and I think really sometimes that is all that you have to do. Just get through each hour, each day, one at a time. It's like a one step in front of another analogy. I'm a morning person. I absolutely adore my mornings. All the things that I do. This is going to get into a goals and habits type podcast, I think, but recently it's just been a chore to even wake up, even though I haven't been asleep, which sounds pretty weird, but I suppose anyone that's got anxiety would probably understand what I mean by that. It's like everything's felt like I'm going through wet cement. Everything's felt hard. I've been really angry. Like I seriously lost my shit last weekend, which never happens anymore, to be honest. I'm quite good at calming my anger because I know what happens, but I literally lost my shit. And I think I had no control, weirdly. I think I needed to do that. It needed to come out, but instead of doing the bad things I probably would have used to do, I decided, fuck it, let's channel this and go to the gym. And yes, the anger stayed for a couple of days, but it actually really, really helped. And considering January was the shit show that I've said it was, and about 50% of the goals I'd set myself weren't hit. Normally I would be like, oh Claire, you're fucking shit. What's the point? You're lazy, you're this, that and the other. Now anyone that knows me knows I'm certainly not lazy. I'm learning. I really am learning to give myself a break. And I think I've actually learned a lot about myself recently, which I've said a million times, but I really have. And I think 2025 is the year that I actually believe in myself, tell the imposter syndrome and shit to fuck off, and I get shit done. And this time, they say that goals without a plan are just wishes. And that's completely true. So although planning's never been a strong point, because I'm a major procrastinator, this is the year that all of that changes. I've always been a person that needs focus. I need something to work towards. Now, this has actually often been in my detriment. And ironically, I've went against everything. So, like I said, a goal is a dream if you don't make plans and stuff. Now, I'm not going to say that I haven't achieved some pretty big things in my life, because I have. But what I haven't been able to do is actually appreciate the things that I've achieved, because I've sat back and thought, you did not do what was needed to do that properly. And this is one of the biggest lessons of today's podcast. So what do I mean by that? Basically, especially since 2017, I've set myself some pretty big goals. I really wanted to achieve certain things and prove to myself. Sorry, just a distraction. How bloody gorgeous is it today? Stunning. Yeah, so I wanted to achieve some pretty good big things, and I have. I've got 2 examples of things that I've done for different reasons, and I'm going to explain the process I went through then and the way that I'm going to do things differently now. And one of the reasons why I've started thinking about this is a conversation I had recently with my son about effort and results. So Noah has got a perfectionism attitude. I'd say I don't know where he gets it from, but let's be honest, I do. And I really feel for him sometimes, because I think he feels like he lives, especially school-wise, I mean, not anything else, but education-wise, he feels he lives in his sister's shadow. And truthfully, his sister has a brain of a genius. I'm not even lying. I'm incredibly proud, but it is baffling how incredibly clever she is, and also amazing. Very proud of both my children. But with Noah, he thinks he needs to be the best at everything, And if he isn't the best at everything, he gives himself such a hard time, and it's really, really painful to see. And we were discussing his recent science results. He'd done a test in class. It wasn't a test for anything in particular, it was just what they do in secondary school, testing you for testing's sake. I think I need to walk a bit slower. I'm so sorry if I'm panting. Proper marching on down. So he was fuming with himself because he got less than 50%. And we were having a discussion, and I said, well, have you revised for it? He went, I didn't know I was having it. I says, right, okay then, so that ticks that one off. I says, have you been trying with your homework? He went, this particular teacher doesn't give me homework. It's like, right, okay then. I says, have you been giving you full attention in class? He's like, well, yeah, I like to think I have. I says, right then, ultimately, the question I need to ask is, did you give 100%? He says, I did, mum. I really did, I tried. And I says, mate, there's the lesson then. You really tried. You couldn't have done any better because you gave 100%. So therefore, yes, the results may not be what you wanted, but you can be proud of the fact that you've done everything you needed to do. And that's true, and that's something I'm trying to get him to understand. And he's only 11 and he's already comparing himself to everyone else, and I don't want him to go down the path that I went down, because yes, he can. He is more than enough of a person. He's amazing. But it actually got me thinking after he'd walked away, in usual Claire style, what an absolute hypocrite I am. Now, I think part of being a parent is being a hypocrite, to be completely honest. I think that's what we do. But I was like, you need to turn that finger around and start talking to yourself. So, let me get the point of what I'm trying to make. I do get there eventually, I promise. So that finger needs to be pointed at me. Now, I'm not saying that I haven't achieved some pretty big things in my life, like I've said. Some massive things, quite honestly, and I suppose a lot of it wasn't even until I hit my 30s and until all of the mental health shit happened. So basically, with the way that my brain works...
Lap 1, 17:37.
Oh, I've done a mile already. Bonus to me. So the way that my... Two magpies, two for joy. The way that my brain works is I always need a focus. I constantly need to be working towards something. It could be something small, it could be something massive, but I have to have something that I'm working towards. Now, that isn't a bad thing. Like, that is who I am, and I'm proud of it. But the things that I've done in the past haven't been done correctly. And as much as, yes, I got the results, I didn't get the sense of achievement. And the reason for that is, back to what I was saying to Noah, did you give your best effort? No, I didn't. Because I didn't plan properly. I didn't do what I needed to do. I've always said that I wing life, just get through, wing the prayer. And I do. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing in all aspects of life. Sometimes you have to just wing it. Sometimes there's things that we don't know, but we end up learning along the way. And sometimes all good plans go a bit awry, and we need to change things, and that's fine. But what I'm talking about is potentially setting yourself up to fail, because in that way you're kind of validating what you believe in yourself, that you're shit, or whatever it might be. For me, it was all sorts of stuff. Until the last year, when I finally finished my therapy, which was an amazing achievement, by the way, I was so proud of myself. I hadn't actually realised just how negative I spoke about myself, and that instead of actually trying to prove people wrong, even though, to be completely honest, I'm not asked what people think in that sense anymore. The things I do are purely for myself and what I can do to help other people. Not everyone likes me. That's absolutely fine, as long as I know I'm being a good person. But what I was doing is I was doing stuff so I could bash myself over the head with Well, I told you you're not good enough. Well, you knew you weren't good enough. What's the point? You're never going to succeed, etc, etc, etc. 2 examples of this. 1, 2019, I run the London Marathon. I can't speak English, I swear. 2019, I ran the London Marathon. Now, don't get me wrong, especially for a lass like me, I absolutely know what an achievement that is. Like, I really do. I completed it. 5 hours, 34 minutes. And I did it. No one can take that away from me, or my medal. I'd fight them for it. But my point is, I did not do any of the prep work that you need to do for something like that. I didn't train. I didn't have a plan. The longest run I did, genuinely in the lead up to that, was 10 miles. I'd done a few half marathons prior to that. But ultimately, I absolutely let anxiety get in the way. Did I give my best efforts? Not even nearly. Yes, on the day, I suppose. On the day, I gave 100%. I gave literally every last bit of whatever I had in me to get around that. And it was the most fucking painful thing I've ever done. And I know, even if I had done the amount of training you're meant to do and everything, it still would have been painful. But my point is, I'm probably never going to run a marathon again, or maybe even a half marathon, due to injuries, for injuries and things like that. So now I've got to look back and say, right, yes, amazing, I'm a marathon runner. But I suppose I didn't do the experience properly. I did the cheats version, and the only person I cheated out of the proper experience is myself. No one else has asked that I ran a marathon. And why would anybody be bothered? Like, it's nothing. I did it to prove to myself that I could do it. And like I said, I can't take that away from myself, but had I trained properly, had I done what I needed to do properly instead of procrastinating and burying my head in the sand, who knows what I could have done. I'm not saying my time was crap either, by the way. Like, I'm pretty impressed that I ran 26.2 miles in 5.5 hours. But the point is, I didn't give the process 100%. So yes, I can be proud that I completed it, but I know in myself that I let myself down by not planning properly and doing it. The other way to describe kind of how I've worked previously is my degree. So again, I'm incredibly proud. If you'd asked me in my 20s, or even when I finished school, did I ever see myself going to university, I would have laughed my tits off. Like, absolutely not. Now, I know I'm not academically, I'm okay, above average. I can get things done. Did the same on my GCSEs, absolutely sacked them off, but ended up walking away with A's, B's and C's. And I did the same thing with my university. Now, I'm one of these that I've said I procrastinate. I procrastinate more than anyone I've ever met. For example, this morning, it has taken me, I got out of bed and it has taken me 2 hours to get up and get out to get this done, even though I know in my head that this is what I wanted to do. 2 hours. Sat drinking coffee, sat doing my journals, sat watching YouTube, but in the back of my head it's going, get up, Claire, get up and get ready, Claire, get up, Claire, it's time to go, Claire. But here I am, and I'm so glad. This is like one of the routes I normally walk. But with university, I'd started all of the Red Balloon stuff, started sharing mental health, got my fitness qualifications, and I decided at the time when I signed up for university, I actually wanted to be a sports and exercise psychologist. I'm really, really obsessed with the link between physical and mental health, massively. It's going to be it has been the basis of my life, and it's going to be the basis of my life going forward. helping people improve their overall well-being, using talking and exercise at the same time. But more on those plans later. But yeah, I went and I got accepted into university and I was absolutely buzzing my little baps off. And the first year was alright, but then COVID hit and things got very different. So yeah, I was a COVID university person. But the point is, the way that my brain works, I have to be massively under pressure to get things done. Unfortunately though, it's not pressure I can put on myself, which I'm realising now. I wasn't at the point where I could do stuff for myself, as in me being me was enough to be able to achieve stuff. I always had to do it for other people. So for instance, if you use university as an example, I had deadlines because my tutor set those deadlines and all the rest of the class had the same deadlines. But what I would do, even if it was an assignment I really enjoyed, the research part of it, I'd do bits and pieces here and there just because I like to read and learn and stuff like that. But using my dissertation, for example, which is the biggest part of your mark and the whole way you pretty much pass your degree, I didn't start typing that up. Bearing in mind it's a 10,000 word assignment and I had transcripts to do and everything from the interviews I did. 2 days before that was due, I put so much unnecessary stress on myself to get that done. And yes, again, I'm going to say, positive or the negative, I walked away with a degree in psychology. I have officially got a degree in psychology and I got a half decent mark. However, I could have done so much better if I'd planned, if I'd set myself goals, and if I'd just been able to do something for myself. And again, it's an achievement that I think the reason why I jump from one achievement to another all the time is because I'm not getting the right sense of satisfaction from things, because I know that I'm doing myself a disservice. Now 2025 is going to be the complete opposite of what I've... Oh, it's very fuzzy in this camera. It's going to be the complete opposite of how I've done things previously. I'm setting goals and doing things in a different way now. I am using the SMART goal process. So for anyone who doesn't know that, SMART, specific, M, measurable, A, achievable, R, realistic, and T, time managed. So every goal that I set myself has to be able to be achieved in a certain time, be realistic, and have a way of being able to measure it. I also tend to use A for accountability. Sorry, I'm just trying to take his a little bit more like on the path with me. So yeah, A is also accountability for me. However, I am not going to tell you all of my goals. Some of them are private to me. And I don't think we have to be accountable for everything that we set ourselves. But to give you an idea of how I do things, bearing in mind I've already been chatting shit for 23 minutes, so much for the half an hour podcast, Claire, I'm going to kind of just give you an overview of how I do things. So, first off, I have a journal, which I use every day religiously. The one I've got this year is the Perfect Planner. Brand new kind of planner for me, so it's taken me a bit of a while to get used to it, but I actually really like it. It helps me schedule everything from my work life, my private life, fitness, etc. But truthfully, I have a few different things that I fill out. So I've got my business planner, which is what I'm going to go through in a second. I have my manifestation planner, which is daily reflections basically. How I feel, what I've achieved, certain journal prompts and stuff like that. I do that every morning. And I also have a fitness record log, which I got off my Secret Santa from work, and I love it. And that is me just popping in so I can start tracking my gym achievements. I do have it on Garmin as such, so it'll track what type of activity, but I'm focusing a little bit more on strength this year. So this And I am proper old school. I am 40 after all. I love a pen and paper. So I write down all of my weight sessions, how much I'm lifting, how many reps, etc, etc. And I want to build month on month on that. It's smart. It's specific. I want to lift heavier weights. It's measurable. I can track it in my diary and see the weights I'm doing. Are they increasing? Am I doing more reps, etc.? They're achievable because if I follow the plan, I can get better. And also accountability. I'm writing down. I know that I'm doing it. I can tick it off for that day and say, yep, all done. Realistic. I'm not setting myself... I didn't set myself a goal of I will be able to chest press a human or leg press an elephant or anything like that. I'm setting myself a realistic target of increasing strength month on month. I'm not doing this for a competition. I'm not doing it for any other reason but to get stronger and healthier. So I don't need to set myself some mad expectations that I'd probably set myself up again to fail if I did that because I'm not trying to win anything. I'm just trying to get healthier. And time management. So that's month on month. How do I measure that? I set myself a goal of between 8 to 12 gym sessions a month. That works out between 2 to 3 a week. More than realistic considering I'm a mum, I have a full-time job, I'm doing my counselling studies, things like that. I only set aside approximately 30 minutes of time for each weight session. That's
Lap
enough for
2,
me.
1703.
Oh, that flew by, that one. That's enough for me. But if it's longer, even better. But I'm making sure that it fits in with my lifestyle, with what I do. My counselling, that's another one. So I have 12 months to finish this qualification. Once I finish, I will be incredibly proud to be a level 4 qualified and insured counsellor alongside my psychology degree and the other qualifications I've got. I'm really excited about what the future holds and I've got some ideas around that, one of which needs my leg to get better, but I've booked in a specialist appointment at the hospital to get that looked into. But again, it's a smart target. I know when it needs to be completed by. It's achievable. The time I've set myself every week to do the study is realistic. And I can keep myself accountable because everything has to be deadlined. Every assignment has to be deadlined in order for me to be able to complete it in the 12 months. Yes, I've got to give myself my own deadlines, but I've also got a deadline that I have to hit for the college. So it kind of ticks all the boxes of that, but it's not too much pressure where I'm completely focused on myself, but enough that I'm learning to progress. So the other 5, so the areas that I basically set myself goals in include, so personal. So for me, that is my health and fitness. It's really important to me this year, more than any year in particular. And it isn't about being, like I said, the fastest, the strongest, the best. It's about being healthy and knowing that I'm doing what's right for my body and my brain. I'm not running races, I'm not competing in competitions. I just want to know that I'm laying the foundations for a healthy life. And what's happened to my uncle recently, and it being 2 years since I lost my dad, and everything like that, as cringy as it sounds, health is wealth. So I set myself health and fitness goals. It might be distance I want to walk. It could be anything like that. So that's one area that I set goals in. I set goals in self-care. That's a little bit harder because self-care is very different. But for me, 2025, I think I am prone to I'm prone to putting myself last. And I don't book the appointments that I need, whether it be the hair, eyebrows, etc., or the more important doctor's ones. And I need to, because the only person that suffers is me. And then I feel shit, and when I feel shit, I think shit, and when I think shit, I feel shit, and it's a vicious circle. And I know how far down I can go into that circle. So I'm having time. Some of my goals are going to be around that, around making myself feel good. That doesn't include the gym and things like that, that are pure self-care stuff. One example is the other day I got Reiki from the amazing Oak Holistics. Fantastic lady, fantastic services, and I might discuss Reiki in more detail and around my easy enough for you to say, spirit, I can't even say it, you know what I mean. But it's just, I wish I could describe how Reiki affects me, but I tell you what, if everyone could do it right, there'd be a lot less drug taking in the world if they had the same stuff, if this had the same effect that I do. It's absolutely mental. But yeah, things like Reiki, massages, taking time out to go places I want to see, maybe that be a museum. I am a massive geek when it comes to stuff like that. Next one's personal development and career. They're in different boxes because I have different things that I want to do with that. So for me, career and personal development, they're kind of linked, but also separate entities. And the reason I say this is, so my career, I currently work in a primary school. I absolutely love my job, love the team, love who I work with, love the families and everything I work with. I do genuinely love my job, and the opportunities that the school have given me are really, really much appreciated. I wouldn't be doing my counselling if it wasn't for them. So I do have a lot to be grateful for, and I do want to do the best I can for the school and the families. That's my career. However, personal development side, the counselling being an example, is I have my own side thing. Like I've been saying, I've got my own plans of what I want to achieve and what I want to build. This podcast is the foundation of it. So yes you can coaching. Again, I am going to actually do a full podcast about the plans for Yes You Can. So I've got different goals. They're linked, like I said, but they're separate. So I have different goals and stuff set within each part. And the other one is family and friends. Sorry, you were just staring at a fence there, weren't you? Different goals for different sets. I know how bad I am at cutting myself off and isolating myself from people. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I need to. I'm not saying that I'm always going to be Miss Sociable and I'm going to do this, that, and the other. Sometimes I do. Like this weekend, I've needed to be by myself. I've needed this time to kind of fill my cup back up. It's mad because for a lot of years I couldn't stand to be by myself, and now I crave it. Not all the time, obviously. I don't want to be a recluse, although it's a possibility if I don't be careful what I do. But no, I want to create more social connections with my family and friends. And I know health is wealth, but it also goes alongside you only live once. And I want to do things that make me happy, and I want to try new things, and I want to make sure I spend time with the people I love, because we don't know what's around the corner, and I think that's really important to remember. So I'm going to have to bring this to an end in a moment, which sounds a bit abrupt, but one, I think you've listened to me for long enough, but two, I don't think you really want to mooch around Sainsbury's with me. The purpose of this podcast basically is goals, dreams, motivation to be the best person that you can be, whatever that looks like to you. I now know what it looks like to me. What does being your best look like to you? What do you want to achieve in 2025? Look at it over a 12-month period. What do you want on New Year's Eve to turn around and say that you achieved in 2025? Following that, break it down into quarterly, so January, February, March, etc. Thinking of those big 1-year plans. What do you need to do each quarter to be able to achieve that? And then that goes down into monthly. what are your goals this month? Now, the one piece of advice I can give you is do not set too many for 1 month. Otherwise, it just creates massive pressure, overwhelm, and you're more likely to do the ostrich, bury your head in the sand, because it's just too much to think about. So if you look at your quarterly goals, what few things can you pick out of that you can set for this month? And then we get down into weeks and days. Weeks, make sure you diary in all of your work commitments and your social commitments in. Then you can see what free time you've got. If you're wanting to fill out that free time with other activities and seeing people, then you know what you've got free. On the other side of things, if you know that you crave a little bit of solitude and you need a little bit of time, you can visually see when that time can be scheduled for you. And that's really important because it can give you something to look forward to. You might have a really insane Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but when you can see your week ahead and say, right, I've got a couple of hours on Thursday, it just makes it that little bit easier because you're constantly moving towards something that also suits you. And I think the other thing that really helps me, I wouldn't say I have strict routines, but I do have a selection of daily habits that I must tick off every day. And I know must sounds like I'm doing this whole pressure thing again, but I do them because they're not massive things. They're things such as read 10 pages of a non-fiction book. I can do that in the morning when I'm drinking my cup of coffee. Do at least 5 minutes of yoga. Sometimes I don't always achieve that, but I do know that when I do, I feel so much better. Go for a walk. That is a religious one that I need to tick off every day, because when I don't, I do hugely see a decline in how I am. And journal. There's other things to it, but these are daily habits. Like I said, they're nothing massive, but it's getting me in the habit. Funny that. It's getting me in the habit of ticking things off. And as so many YouTubers and influencers and everything tell you, the dopamine kick you get of ticking off a to-do item, it is just immense. There's nothing quite like it. And with that, it gives you that incentive and that motivation to move on to the next thing. And it's just a big full package of keeping yourself accountable, keeping yourself motivated, but more importantly than that, having faith in yourself and knowing that you can do what you set your mind to. And that's an amazing thing. And like I said in the other episode, Adapt Don't Quit, there's going to be some days where you feel absolutely fucking shit. I have. Like I said, for the last 2 weeks it's been terrible. But it's knowing that those bad days lead to good days. And that's what's important to keep in mind. Now, I just want to thank everyone for listening or watching, depending on what platform you're on. If you're on YouTube, give me a like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, give me a like and subscribe. If there's any other platforms you think this would suit to be on. But ultimately, thank you for always supporting me, for listening to me ramble on, for just believing in me and what I want to achieve. Your support is always, always appreciated. Let me know what your thoughts are on this type of video. Do you prefer me sitting talking to a camera? Or do you prefer me out of breath, walking around in the great outdoors? Let me know anyway, and thank you. And remember, yes you can.